Hello, review today. Yeah, as you can see, it's a Code Vein 2. It's a word for me because the first part, I mean, right? Because it let's let's start from the beginning. Code Wayne worked for me because it changed my mind. I could chase a build, hate it, rebuild it, and still I feel like the game wanted me to experiment. It was just like Souls but with anime. It was system driving action RPG that stayed fun even when it got messy. Code Wayne 2 goes after something bigger, a wide world, two timelines, and a structure that ask a bit more variation and a different approach than just going on in straight line. When it all clicks, it is the most interesting this series has ever been. When it doesn't, you just start noticing the sharp edges. I wish they did a couple of things differently, so they jump in. Code Lane 2 sends you back to the same place more than once. Early on, the mostly feel practical, but after a while, the repetition starts to do something else. You begin to recognize locations as moment in a longer timeline. You remember what stood before there. You notice what's missing now. There's was a game quietly lands its better story beats. Walking throughout the space you already seen in a different state gives context without the explanation. A room that once felt busy later feels abandoned. A location that used to function is now just a part of the landscape. I do appreciate this approach, although the story starts off too slow and there's way much to explanation going on. Then the team did create an interesting story for the every evolving world part of. It's a lot of show, don't tell, but when it works and you get sucked into it, you'll want to keep playing to see it unravel. Well, the problem is that Cod Wayne too rarely lets some moments exist in total silence. Dialogue has habit of stepping in too quickly, spelling out motivations, reintroduction factors, or reminding you why something matters. Conversation often feel overloaded with the name and the backstory, even when the scene itself was already doing of the work. Instead of deepening the impact, the tendency flattens it, and the story even loses some of the momentum because of it. It's not holding per se, but it bothered me more than once. On the other hand, there are stretches where the story clearly knows what it wants to go, but rushes to get there. Emotional bear arrive before they fully settled. Characters talk throughout themes that would land harder if I let unspoken for a moment longer. It creates a strange disconnect. You understand the stakes, but you don't always feel them as strongly as the game expects you to. What makes this frustrating, this is the structure and it is solid. Moving back and forth throughout the time gives the narrative room to the reframe earlier events and relationship. When the game trusts the player to notice those shifts, the story gains weight. When it doesn't, it starts to feel like it's narrating itself instead of letting the experience speak. In the original Code Vein, a lot of the words was created to feel compact, hostile, and build around forward momentum. You were really far from danger, and even not short stretches to come felt earned. Code Vein 2 trades that structure for a bigger scale, and while that shift opened up the board, it also changes the writing in ways that aren't always its so benefit. These are the moments to open the world exactly as intended. Crossing a wild ruined landscape can heavily do you in a getaway, but what the point of interest in with when objective line up naturally with the environment, the game maintains a sense of purpose. You're moving throughout the world, not stopping to admire it, but the feeling doesn't hold consistently. Too often, large stretches exist mainly as connective tissue between the key moments and the important encounters. The game asks you to spend the time traveling without giving that travel enough tension or discover to justify it. In the general that lives on pressure and pacing, that absence is noticeable. It is one of the moments where the progress you're making is forcefully slowed down because it just takes some time to travel to the new location. I'm okay with slowing down in a Souls-like game, especially when I need to grind a bit more in order to defeat the harder enemies, but slowing down because I need to travel in the open world isn't something I really appreciate. Navigation also adds to that friction. I don't mind being disoriented when the word itself invites exploration and when getting lost leads to surprise for the new angles. Here, confusion often comes from the unclear communication rather than the design intent. Objectives that appear reachable but aren't, paths that look viable until they absolutely aren't. And vertically, it isn't always redoable on the map. All contribute to a sense of busy work. It never fully derails the experience, but it does wear on. Instead of hiding the tension and immersion, movement across the board can start to feel like another task. And over the time, this kind of travel dulls the urgency that Code Vein 2 story and the combat are trying to build. While combat is pretty solid, combat in Cold Vein 2 makes its intentions clear fairly early on. If you want to access the stronger moves, you have to stay involved. Hanging back 2 drives things up quickly, while reckless aggression usually ends up as a bad lead. Most fights push you towards the same tension, stay close enough to drain you and keep you at open tensions, but so close that you lose control of the space. The drain and span loop keeps the second nature after a while. I'd step in. I look for an opening and a jail drain, the tool that lets you sift on blood to fuel your abilities, spam what I gain on the burst of attack, then back off before things trip too far. When I missed mid that flow, draining too late, spending too much at once, fights fell apart fast. When I got it right, combat felt steady and intentional, like I was always setting out for the next few seasons and seconds instead of scrambling it to survive. Well, what I can say about the Code Wayne, it wants, especially it wants to be more than a continuation of the first game, and the shift in structure gives the world more room to breathe, and the combat still rewards players who like to adjust, experiment, and find their own rhyme. But the extra space comes at a cost. The open world softened the pressure that once kept everything moving forward, and technical rough edges tend to show up exactly when the clarity matters the most. I enjoy my time with the Cold Wing 2, even when it's tested my patience. I just keep thinking how much stronger it could have been with a tighter focus. So, nevertheless, thank you for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And may God bless ya all. Bye.